If you've ever tried to grow, I mean, really grow, you know it doesn't feel natural at first. Growth stretches you, it exposes habits you didn't know you had, it humbles you. And if you're honest, sometimes it makes you want to retreat to what's comfortable. Welcome to Chasing the Wind. I'm Dan Holland, and we're looking at 10 rules from Solomon for catching what lasts. And this is rule number 2. There was a lineman named Jack Katz, played football at the University of Florida in the early 60s. He was big, strong, and quick for his size. In fact, he could beat all the other linemen in sprints. So he went to his coach and he said, "Hey, I want to run with the backs. They're faster. They're the fast guys." For a week, he lost every race. At the end of the week, the coach said, "Jack, don't you think it'd be better to go back to running with a lineman?" And Jack said, "Hey, coach, I have one purpose for being out here, and that's to learn to run faster. I know I can beat the linemen, and I've lost every race with the backs, but I've lost each race by a little less each time." Now, that's what spiritual growth feels like. You may feel clumsy at first, you may still feel behind, but if you're serious about learning to live before God, you are losing by a little less each time every day you move forward. You are changing. And one of the first signs of real growth is this: you stop treating God casually. You see, that's rule number 2. Stand in awe of God. Now, Solomon writes in Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 1 and 2. This is what he says: "Guard your steps when you go to the house of God. Go near to listen rather than to offer the sacrifice of fools who do not know that they do wrong. Do not be quick with your mouth. Do not be hasty in your heart to utter anything before God. God is in heaven and you are on earth, so let your words be few." That's a confrontation with casual religion. Solomon is saying, don't stroll into worship like you're running errands. Don't show up with noise instead of attention. Don't confuse activity with reverence. Don't assume that because you know the words that your heart is aligned with what you're saying. Because awe is not an emotional spike. Awe is a mindset. It's remembering who God is and who you are in relation to him. See, the difference between real faith and superficial religion isn't how much we do or how well we do it. That's important to remember. It's alignment, it's listening, it's obedience. It's like James said in James 2:18. He said, "I will show you my faith by my works." Awe that never reaches your actions isn't finished faith. You can agree with truth, you can sing loudly, you can nod during sermons, but if it never changes how you live, see, James says, then your faith is incomplete. Jesus said the same thing in Matthew chapter 7. The wise man does what? He hears his words and he puts them into practice, while the foolish man hears the same words and he does nothing. Same truth, different response. Only one life stands when storms come. And that's why Solomon warns us, don't offer the sacrifice of fools. Don't bring God words when he's asking for your life. And let me say this gently, because it applies, I think, to all of us. It is possible to believe in God and not live in awe of God. It is possible to talk about holiness and not practice surrendering our lives. It's possible to attend worship and never actually worship. As Solomon says, guard your steps. In other words, pay attention to how you approach God. Not because he's fragile, he's not, but because it's because you are. A casual view of God always leads to casual obedience. Hebrews 12 carries this forward in a big way. It's hard. He said, "Let us worship God acceptably with reverence and awe, for our God is a consuming fire." Now, that's not panic, and that's clarity. God's not an accessory to your life. He's not a consultant or a motivational add-on. I think you know that. He's God. And when you stand in awe of him, your priorities rearrange. So what does rule number 2 look like in real life right now? Well, I'll suggest that first, it means that you slow down whenever you approach God. Before prayer, before scripture reading, before worship, pause and acknowledge, God, you are God, and I am not. And second, listen more than you speak. Read scripture not to confirm your opinions, but let it teach us. That's the intent. Rebuke us, correct us, and basically train us in righteousness. That's what Timothy wrote. And third, act on one thing that you hear. Don't just read it, do it. Just one command, one correction, one nudge from God. See, awe of God becomes real when it becomes obedience to God. James says that faith is shown by works, not to earn God's love, but to reveal that we are trusting God. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If God never gets to tell you no, you're not going to want to hear this, then you're not standing in awe of him. You're negotiating with him. See, awe says, you are God, your word stands, comes first, my life adjusts to your word. And that's where growth begins. You remember Jack Katz? You may feel slow, you may feel behind, but if you're learning reverence, if you're losing by a little less each day, then, my friend, you're growing. Growth isn't measured by perfection. It's measured by living every moment in awe of God. So, this week, don't just admire God, stand in awe of him. Let reverence shape your schedule. Let obedience shape your habits. Let listening reshape your reactions to life. Because a foolish person may agree with truth and never act on it, making it worthless. Don't be foolish. Be wise. The wise person hears and practices, and when storms come, and they will, a life built in awe of God will stand. So here's the question for week 2. Where have you become casual with God? And what would it look like to step back into reverence? That's rule number 2. Stand in awe of God.